They tore a newborn from his mother's arms, calling it Collateral for unpaid HOA fees. At the core was Helen Carver, a woman who warped a neighborhood association into a sinister child detention scheme. But Laura had an unexpected ally, a retired federal prosecutor who knew how to strike. Brace yourself for how this nightmare unraveled and why justice didn't just knock, it shattered the door. When Laura Bennett stepped into her new Fairfax County, Virginia townhouse, the air held fresh paint and faint hope. 6 months pregnant, she was alone, haunted by loss. Her husband David died in a car crash a year prior, a brutal collision with a semi that erased their plans. One minute, he was texting about tacos. The next, police stood at her door. Survival became her daily fight. This modest home, 2 bedrooms, thin walls, old kitchen, was her shot at stability for the son she'd soon meet. Bought with life insurance, a widow's grant, and a tight mortgage, the house had a backyard and a window glowing gold at dusk. Laura unpacked slowly, murmuring to her baby about cribs and colors. Peace settled briefly. But peace fades fast under a homeowners association's shadow. Cedar Hills HOA was notorious, its rules mocked online yet brutally enforced. A $100 fine for wrong blinds, $250 for a garden figurine. Residents scoffed but paid. Laura found it excessive but navigable. She studied bylaws, kept her lawn pristine, and stayed silent at meetings, craving invisibility. But some eyes can't be avoided. Labor struck during a blizzard, snow burying the county. Folding tiny socks, Laura felt a contraction rip through her. Her water broke as she staggered to the living room. 911 warned of delayed ambulances. The roads were chaotic. Panic surged as pain closed in. A knock came. Neighbor James Larson, a retired Marine widower, stood ready. Seeing stalled ambulance lights, he bundled Laura into his jeep, plowing through snow, his steady voice calming her cries. They reached the hospital just in time. Caleb was born before midnight, his wails echoing under harsh lights. Laura held him, whispering his name as he nestled against her. 3 days later, aching and healing, Laura returned with Caleb in a duck-patterned blanket. A man stood on her porch, HOA logo on his windbreaker, clipboard like a blade. "Mrs. Bennett?" he said, eyes down. Violations, uncleared snow, emergency signage, late bins. Laura gripped Caleb. "I just gave birth." He handed her an envelope and left. Inside, a letter demanded $4,312 in fines, warning, failure to pay within 10 days may trigger administrative action, including liens or other measures. She stared, unaware of the horror other measures held. A week later, a sharp knock broke the quiet. Caleb slept on Laura's chest, his warmth her anchor. 2 men in HOA uniforms stood at her door, badges gleaming. The older one, silver at his temples, spoke icily. "Laura Bennett, we're here about your debt." He waved a red-stamped letter. "Section 13.5D allows collateral seizure for non-payment." Laura's heart raced. "A lien?" "I said I'd pay later." The younger man's voice was slick, menacing. "Not a lien. Asset seizure." Her mind spun. "This is my home. I have a newborn." He eyed Caleb. "Exactly?" Laura's scream shook the walls. "You can't take my baby!" The younger man stepped inside, uninvited, heading for the nursery. "Get out!" she yelled, clutching Caleb. The older man blocked the door. "We're authorized." "Hand him over, or security, armed security, steps in." Laura knew their ex-military patrols weren't a bluff. The younger man lunged, wrenching Caleb from her arms. His cries stabbed her heart as she collapsed, sobbing, pleading. "He's 3 weeks old." They didn't blink. "This is for your good," one said, slamming the door. Silence swallowed the house. Laura sat, empty-handed, her body burning with unspent milk. She dialed 911, voice raw. A dispatcher promised a callback. An officer called 40 minutes later, brushing her off. "If they showed papers, it's civil." Get a lawyer! The police station echoed this. CPS had no record of Caleb. The next day, neighbors got a letter. Due to noncompliance, Cedar Hills HOA has relocated minor resident Caleb Bennett for his welfare. Signed by the board, it looked legal. Whispers spread, some blamed Laura. An online post sneered. She ignored the rules. What did she expect? Laura unraveled, clutching Caleb's bottle in his nursery, her body leaking milk he couldn't drink. Grief consumed her, but she recalled James Larson. He'd once mentioned his federal prosecutor past. At dawn hollow, she knocked on his door. They took my son, she whispered. He nodded. Come in. James listened, scribbling every detail, names, uniforms, the letter's clause. He scoured Laura's HOA papers, then dug online from a secure laptop. Cedar Hills wasn't a typical HOA but a private security governance corporation, with a 2010 charter claiming municipal-like powers. Section 13.5d allowed temporary custody for financial default. James's lips tightened. This was a calculated system, not a mistake. He reached out to DOJ contacts, sharing Laura's evidence, letters, doorbell video, and her trembling audio of the men's words. 2 days later, a Civil Rights Division agent called, hooked. James met them in D.C., detailing the case. When he said Caleb had been gone 6 days, an attorney left abruptly. Subpoenas hit Cedar Hills' servers, uncovering a juvenile custody program file, spreadsheets listing kids' ages, and storage sites. One was a community center minutes from Laura's home. Feds watched it that night. At dawn, a woman entered, a man left with a bottle warmer. That triggered a raid. James stood outside as agents moved in, no sirens, just precision. Inside, they found 3 children, including Caleb, in a crib under a camera. A toddler and a 7-year-old sat in isolation, unharmed but hollow. Binders logged feedings, risk scores, and retention periods. A surveillance room tracked every move. An agent muttered, "What is this?" 2 weeks later, feds stormed the HOA's community center at 6 a.m. It was sterile, white walls, vinyl floors. 3 children were in a back room, Caleb under an ankle tag, a toddler on a mat, a 7-year-old drawing silently. Paperwork detailed the chilling operation, custody forms, behavioral notes, staff roles, all HOASD warned. By 8 a.m., the kids were in federal care, the truth bare, this was kidnapping, not policy. Helen Carver's trial began 3 months later, the courtroom electric. Charges spanned kidnapping, conspiracy, and authority abuse. Evidence, logs, videos, messages, buried the defense. Laura's testimony stilled the room. She recounted the men tearing Caleb away, her pleas ignored, the police's apathy. He wasn't theirs. She choked. Helen, unbowed, called it policy for child safety. The prosecutor shredded her. You're no judge. You built a prison. The jury's guilty verdict was swift. Helen got 56 years, 14 others faced 15 years to life. The HOA was dissolved, its assets aiding victims. The facility became a playground, but wounds lingered. A year later, Laura stood in her home, free of HOA chains. Caleb, toddling, giggled among blocks. Outside, a swing set James helped build swayed. He waved, joking about the blizzard. Laura laughed, the sound raw but real. That night, she watched Caleb sleep, his chest rising. She'd fought for him, for every parent facing such insanity. The terror was gone. What do you think? Could your neighborhood hide such madness? Share below. Where's the line between rules and tyranny? Your comments fuel this debate, so spill your thoughts.